Okay, so now that we've finished this section on using, and this is a natural progression, I'll talk more about this in the attendance, is, and we learn kind of this pattern from here on out, but we started with setting up function constructors, understanding how that works, understanding the prototype, understanding primitives, and his hangman code is fun to code along and watch that come together. And now we move to the class, right? So it's basically identical in its way it underliningly underline how JavaScript actually runs this code is pretty much the same, but there's some nice syntax. And honestly, the reason we see this more is because there are people coming, for programmers, developers coming from other languages, and they are used to the class and the ability to do subclasses where you extend that and setters and getters. So these are honestly along the lines of where classical programmers, developers from OOP and object-oriented programming paradigm come. So no surprise there. So it probably won't be a surprise either. Come back to this in a minute, what we're going to do. Okay. I'm actually a little surprised Andrew didn't in this section, quite frankly, do a form because it kind of made sense. But I understand why, because he wanted to focus on the whole idea of, how you set up and run and develop the code. But, we know now how to do codes. So this is what you need to do. Sorry, you know how to do forms. So you're going to add a form and you're going to implement a class. So I should say that. But so, and that's what I'm saying here. So take your code from Monday, right? Move it into your Thursday directory. Should feel familiar by now. Add a form to allow the user to select item and quantity. Okay. Give the user at least two line items to select. I'll show you what I mean by this. Convert the constructor function to a class index syntax. Add some kind of validation. We just can't do forms without validation, which is why I like doing them again. Okay. Still output running sales totals, and because I just couldn't do it without doing it, I had to add some CSS. Please do it if you want. I think it's more fun, but okay. So here's what I ended up with, and actually, the actual, and I called it my classy order form. I get the pun. Okay. So in this case, what I ended up doing it was just for each of them repeating the same. And actually, as I was doing it, I was thinking I should just dynamically build this. But I thought, okay, for today's assignment, it's kind of not the focus. But what I did do was I then did do some minimal validation to where if you didn't provide any data, and really, and this is the key, is you have to at least have something in this first item. Okay. And actually, let me show you this. If you do 3 burgers, right, and you submit, then it processes just like it did before. Kind of, right? I mean, it still does. And in this case, I ended up changing my select to actually also set the price, where I set the price randomly last time. And I did that in here in the select. Took me a little while because I had to remember how to do that. And if you want some help or some, input on how you could do that, definitely let me know. But I also set up my code so that no matter which line item you selected, like if you had a order person that, went to the bottom, um, they would still let them order. And then of course you can, which is the idea here, is you can place something on each, you know. I did 3, you only have to do 2, right? Now I changed from the actual person to from form ordered 3, right? Burgers, what's the ones I just did? Oh yeah, here's the last one. And then I did the running. Okay, so I spent more time honestly on this one, actually coming up with the way I would handle the simple validation and also how I would build the for me I did a multi-dimensional array to set up or call new on my order. So I had to do some work to do that, and I ended up writing a separate function to handle that. And then I did minimum validation. All I said is if the order multi-dimensional array came back as, length of 0, I knew they didn't give me anything. Because I was actually playing around with the required attribute and wasn't triggering even on my form. So I decided, I could easily do that. So, here are your requirements of what you need to do. This one's optional. The rest of these are required to get all the points. And again, just like last week, I didn't say that, but I need to add this code. Write your own code and please ask questions, right? You're going to hear me talk about this. You've already heard me at this point talk about, that I understand that sometimes it's hard to ask questions on Discord, but it really does help because I think you'll realize you're not the only person that may need some additional input here. Okay. All right. I hope this is fun. It was for me. I spent almost an hour or two here playing around kind of between tasks for getting the output that I wanted. And I definitely did it better than I've done it in the past, so to speak, because I've done this a similar assignment, but I noticed this time I think I did it much better. And actually, I was thinking seriously about doing another class to handle the order total. That would be good. But I didn't because I spent more time on other stuff. So, anyway, talk to you later. Bye.